What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional. Mikey Fever was on the last podcast. Pardon me, I couldn't make it on the last one. Business, NYP business going on right now. A lot going on with NYP business. Peace to everybody out there who is on the check-in with us right now. Currently, we have 0 watching. It's all good. They're going to come in just like, our people. We're always on CPT time. People always come in 15, 20 minutes late. You know what I mean? It starts picking up too late sometimes. You know what I mean? But peace to everybody on the check-in. We got Queen Tynetta in the building. Oh, we got 2 people in the building watching. 2 people in the building. I need you to make yourself known, make knowledge born right now. Please let us know who you are on the check-in. It could be Awareness Daily. It could be Mikey Fever, just looking to see what's going on over there. But anyway, peace to y'all. Thank y'all for supporting NYP Talk Show. NYP Talk Show has a website coming out probably this week. I would say if not this week, no later than next week. It's already done. It's a dope website, y'all. We are now trademark TM. So if you try to use our footage likeness, we can cease and desist your ass, just to let you know, for those who like to do that. And of course, whoever was a part of this show, they can definitely use this footage on this podcast. Like Dr. Paul Dyer, he always reposts our stuff and stuff like that. So but he's part of the crew. But anyway, Suli, thank you. Much appreciated. I can't wait till y'all see the new website. But anyway, thank you for coming out, Tynetta. Really appreciate you. Tynetta's special to me because Tynetta's family, right? So Tynetta, let's run it away. Who are you, Tynetta? What's your attribute or what's your name?
My name is Queen Tynetta Magnetica.
That's peace.
That is my name.
That's peace. Peace from love of law. Peace to the God. Peace to the God. So, hey, Earth, can you see? Can you see? Oh, you can't see the chat. All right, I'm gonna just put this up there so you can see that. King Me from King Me, watching from love of law.
All right. LA, right?
Yes. Peace, King Me. Peace, God. So now let's go into it, Tynetta. You already broke down your attribute. I want you to say it one more time.
Queen Tynetta.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about it. How did you come up in the nation? How did you get the lessons and the whole nine?
Well, I have got the knowledge of self because I come from the righteous womb. When my father had knowledge from almost like the beginning, his enlightened educator, which was Black Messiah, or he was born Black Messiah, and also his father, Saladin, who was in the mosque before the father, which was my grandfather. Plus, my mother had got the knowledge of self from the gods from the head of Medina when she was around 16.
All right.
So when my mother had actually met my father, she was already had knowledge of self. But back then, they didn't call them like everybody wasn't a queen, so they were just original sons and daughter of Allah, and that's what she was, or they call them sis. So actually, I was born into the nation.
Indeed. So you were born into the nation. So, you didn't come into this like everybody else. So, like a lot of us came into the nation, which was from either from the streets, well, from me, I got it from the street. I don't know how everybody else got it. Some people got it from the internet. Some people got it from rap music, hip hop, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you got it from the womb. So how was that growing up in the nation that young?
It was peaceful because we had more structure. It was a sense of family. Everybody had looked out for each other. A lot of people had worked together for us as a whole in a collective with babies coming together when someone had a party. Everybody that was actually from Medina, a lot of us would actually be together. So we grew up with a lot of people, children. We would have our own family, but we would
Mhm.
also have an ascended family come amongst us. So that's how we all got to actually know each other.
That's
So the
peace.
guards would come and drop their earths off with the babies, and they were building their own cipher, and then they would leave and also come back.
Ah, so it was tighter back then. So you talking about the
Yes,
80s,
we have more of a sense of a stronger unity. The 70s also,
the 70s.
especially from the early 70s to the 80s.
Got you. So you said it was more structure back then. It was more family, more camaraderie
Yeah, we
back.
was more. Yes, we was more as a collective and was very peaceful amongst us. Everybody basically had introduced themselves for those who didn't know who somebody was. So
Right.
when you came in, it was never nobody running in no cliques. Nobody was actually separating themselves from other people. It wasn't like that.
Right. So then growing up in Medina, so you know my family. Can we break that down a little bit?
Yeah, we could break that down from the science from your sister, which
Yeah.
is my family by blood and everything else, and so
Right.
are her other sisters and brothers. You
Right.
want me to name them? I can name them,
I don't care. Yeah.
which will actually be Siobhan, which is the oldest of Shelly's daughter.
Yeah.
And then you have Trevor, which
Yeah.
is also Shelly's son, which is my cousin through my father. And you have Monet,
Right. Which is my little sister.
your little sister.
Right.
But she
So
act
that
like she the big sister.
yeah. But sure, it's all good though. Shouts out to my family, Trevor, Sharon, Monet. That's our connection to Tynetta. So now, as far as coming up in the 70s and the 80s in the nation, well, and I'm gonna say the 80s and the 90s. Let's say 80s and 90s. Did you notice a shift in that camaraderie, or what happened?
Well, in the 80s, it was strong to actually to get a seat in the Universal Parliament. You had to at least be there way before 1:30, most likely. They were packed. All the seats was packed. You had guards, you had the herbs, and you had the baby. We was a
Mhm.
law 5%. So that's exactly what made who we are. You had the babies, like I'm gonna say again, was actually there with the herbs and the guards. They came as a family. Everybody would go to the auditorium and you would listen to the bells. That's what it was. And then after that, after the guards and the earth stopped building, after you listen to them building, you would actually have the children also going to the gym and play. And then we would also have the food inside the lunchroom, the cafeteria. But we was able to actually cook the food in there too and actually serve it at that time from Harriet Tubman.
Indeed. So you coming from Medina and having family in Mecca.
Yes.
You have family in other parts of the five boroughs too, right?
In all boroughs.
All boroughs. All right. So the family from Mecca that's more closely related to my family, who is that? I think you were telling me your dad, your old dad.
Yeah, my dad and Shelly are first cousins. Shelly father is actually my grandmother's brother.
Shelly father is your grandmother's
Mother's brother.
brother.
So
That's
Uncle Larry is
crazy.
my father's uncle. Siobhan's grandfather and my grandmother was sisters and brothers. My grandmother was the oldest out of all the siblings.
All right. All right. That's some history for me out there. All right. Now, so as far as the 80s and the 90s, let's take it back to that point. It was tight. The parliaments were packed. Okay. Name, can you give me some of the like the bright eras of the 5% nation when you were like, man, I'm so happy to be a part of this nation? Like
Oh,
maybe like 85, 90, 95.
oh, from 85 to 95, it was at its peak. But I would say mostly like after the early 90s came in the mid 90s, it's basically had lost some of its structure because it wasn't that crowded all the time unless it was certain events going on. And besides that, before that, we also had the Mother Civilization and the Earth Committee. where they learn how to deal with each other, build with each other, how to cook, clean, and how to act at home and abroad, and out also how to take care of the children and also educate them on what they needed to know. So we had a sisterhood.
Mm. And so that's no more, or is it just not as prevalent as it was?
It's not as prevalent as it was. It's to each its own now because we have a broad spectrum when everybody has spread it out to different states. So to each one, and some people are actually still sisters like me and give us. I like to say peace and shout out to my sister in the culture, Wise Asia, because we have a tight sisterhood. Some
Mhm.
people do have it, and some people also have their own different groups, their own sisterhood.
Indeed. So how did what was it called? The Earth Sisterhood? What was it called? Like how you broke it down?
The Mother Civilization and the Earth Committee.
The Mother of Civilization and Earth Committee. Now, how was that? Y'all just came together and built on a certain day on the degrees and
They built on lessons and degrees, and they also had built with sisters basically on the weekends on Saturdays, most of
Mhm.
the time, and some Sunday. Because they also will have, if you have children down the line, they also had the pamphlets where they could learn they supreme mathematics and supreme alphabets. That was fundamental too.
Mm, that's peace. That's peace. And then how long was that? How long did that exist? I mean, I guess you can't tell me about the beginning of that committee. Were you a part of that committee?
No, my mother and my other extended aunts in the nation was. I came there,
Mhm.
but I was young.
Right, right, indeed, indeed. All right, so give me a little more about that committee. So lessons, and then dealing with cooking. You're dealing with cooking, right?
Yeah, they dealt with everything: how to sew, how to cook, how to clean, and also how to deal with each other. As far as the sisterhood with the earth committees, how to also have a form of respect for one another.
That's interesting, right there. So how would that be administered?
It would be administered, but actually the younger ones actually getting to talk to the elders. I don't like to say elders to the ones that had knowledge yourself for a long time, and the
Yeah,
ones that came after. Nobody felt that because they was older, they was above them. It was all love. When they came together as a collective, it was all love. They showed each other and they learned different things about each other and how to actually do certain things together,
right.
how
I
to come
think
together.
I think it's still all love. I think it's still all love. You know, it's just the internet is here now, so that makes it a little shaky. But when you see people in person, it's a different kind of vibe.
That I could totally agree with you. Yes.
Because online, people say stuff and wilding out and be in whatever moods they be in. You know
Of
what I
course,
mean?
because on the phone and the phone also have barriers because you can't get a feeling of
Peace, 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 peace.
I'm here.
Okay, I don't know. Your joint just kind of blinked out.
I know.
Okay,
That's
okay. So what were you saying? So like you said, the phone you have barriers because you can't get a feel of.
yes, the body
Yeah.
language actually as when you with somebody face up close and personal, or when you
Right,
see them, you could get
right,
the feel, the vibe, the
right.
energy.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Because where I've met a few God online first, and then but when I see him in person, I don't know. I guess the vibe. I don't know. I'm always like a warm kind of person anyway. I guess people like see me and they go, "Oh, okay," you know what I mean, and then it's all peace from that point on. You know what I'm saying? I guess online I look more like super rigid or whatever, or what have you. But yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So now now that we have the advent of the internet, and I think that's just the barrier a little bit. But then when we come around, it's still all love. So the love is not lost. The love is not lost. You know what I'm saying? We all see each other and we're like, "Hey, ah, man, I haven't seen you in a while." and things like that. But I would say from my perspective, the numbers have changed. But I would say this too, though. When I was coming up, the parliaments, they were packed a lot of the time, but sometimes the numbers drop and then the numbers go back up and the numbers drop. So I just think it's maybe like a seasonal thing, or a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Like you went to the show and prove, I saw, right?
Yes.
Now the show and prove was what? How were the numbers at the show and prove?
It was peaceful. It was pretty crowded, but a lot of people also was outside and people were outside. They had people come from different parts of different states
Right, indeed.
that were actually there with their babies for the first time and more than once, some people. And they loved it.
Right, indeed. So the parliament still have people coming. The 5% nation is definitely alive and still well. Just like any other nation, people have things going on, issues and things like that. However, it's still alive and thriving all over the world. I see all
Yes.
over the world. So Allah lives. So now let's talk a little bit more about peace. We got King L in the building, aka Crip Jesus. Peace to Crip Jesus. So
Peace.
peace. So now let's talk a little bit about your upbringing, how you got the lessons, and what was your transformation with the lessons? Like why how is it that you never fell back? Well, you never even were in the dead world, really. You never were in the dead world, but how did you stay so firm in the teachings throughout the years for this long?
Well, I went through different trials and tribulations because I didn't have any babies from anybody that's actually in the 5% nation. So that's totally different. And I can relate to certain things, and I could say from when I grew up, I just never wanted to have any children from anybody in the nation at the time
Mm.
because I see that the guards was actually strict.
Mm. Okay.
One
So
thing they did do was actually take care of their children. They took care of their family, which was their foundation, where they wasn't even needed for nothing. Majority of them from the ones that I grew up around, and the ones that were way older than me. Like my father friends, his brothers in the nation, and my mother's sisters who are called aunties in the nation.
okay. All right. So to reel it back, to bring it back, you staying grounded in the 5% nation, even though you did go and you went into you went into relationships with people who are not of the 5%. How did you stay grounded in the teachings? Did you always pick up lessons? Did you always just go around your mom? Is it just in you?
I always been around my family, and I always came to a lot of parliaments since I was young. Never stopped going to the parliaments. Never
Mm,
like that.
okay. All right. So are you studying? Have you been studying? Of course, the teachings, the lessons, you be in ciphers, building.
No,
How
I haven't been studying like that, but I want to get back to studying. Excuse me,
okay.
that's my granddaughter.
It's all good. It's peace. It's peace. All right. So now let's take it
Sure.
back to you being a part of this committee. Now after you having an understanding of the committee as a young woman or a young girl, basically.
I wasn't a part of the committee. I just went with my mother when we was having the committee
Right.
to
So you
actually learn to see certain things with some of the herbs that I can name.
right. So you're like 10, 11, 12 years old,
Not a little older than that.
a little older than that. So like 16, 17, basically.
You could say like around before I turned 20 years.
All right. So now
I know it
after
was a long time ago.
dealing with that, where did you go? Like, how were you building were you building with the nation after the 20s? Like what were you doing in your mid 20s and early
I
20s?
was still coming to the parliaments and helping out. Like when the children had trips and different when they had certain things that was going on, I participated. All the
Okay.
way to the 2000 with Father Divine and Powerful and Prince in them.
Yeah.
Especially in Medina, where I'm from, where I'm from Nubia. Just besides that they know me all over parts of Medina, what's in New York. So what I can say is that We had things for the babies that was going on. Ball dances for the babies, um, father socials for the babies, and different things. They had that in Nubia.
Okay,
Barbecues for the babies and different things. So yes.
now explain Nubia for me.
Nubia is out there in Canarsie. For those who don't know, we had a lot of father socials out there where you take the L train to East
Mm.
105th Street.
Okay,
Like
Nubia.
Limit Row is where they still have the universal flag at right now in Canarsie.
All right. All right. Now, Father
That's
Socials. Can
Nubia.
you?
Nubia is the land of the gold, means gold mine. Which,
Okay. Okay.
which is, excuse me, pardon me.
All right. We got Mikey Fever in the building right now.
Yeah.
Good.
Pigs.
We got Tynetta in the check-in. We just broke down the history about her family and where she comes from. So now I'm just trying to break it down from knowledge to born. I'm trying to take her from the cradle to now. So now 25, you building with the earths, you building with the gods, you going to the parliaments and things like that. Um, break down the history of your mom. So and your dad. I want more history about your beginnings.
Okay, my mother got the Nazi stuff when she was around Nazi quality from the gods for the head of Medina, which was Universal Shamgar, firstborn Hashim, and Shasha, and everybody else that was down there in Medina.
Mhm.
So by the time my mother met my father, she already had knowledge herself. My
Mm.
father had actually started dating my mother probably around 1970 or 71. So when he had met her, he already was a god because my father, enlightened and educated, was actually firstborn Black Messiah. For those who don't know, most of the firstborns actually was from Mecca, went to the school called 120. It's no longer there. It was on 120th Street where they call Cooper. My dad had used to live in 3-5 West 122nd Street.
120. I never heard nothing like that.
It was a
Okay.
school called 120.
Oh,
Junior high school 120.
okay,
Junior
okay,
high school 120. It
okay.
was, I think right now it might be over there. It might be a church or something. It was on 120th Street. You could ask any guards that know the history. It was called Cooper.
Cooper.
That's if you live on one side. But if you live further up, most of the guards had went to, it was some that went to Douglas, like Allah B went to Douglas. Because if you zone, depends on what block you would go to Cooper. So that's where like Black Messiah and different guards had went to.
Indeed. Okay. All right. So now that's
So
check.
far as within that with my father, so he got the knowledge, not only for him, but also from his father, which is old man Saladin, that my grandfather was in the mosque before the father. So
Okay.
with those teachings, my parents was actually strict when I was growing up. So it wasn't just that. I know that while I was growing up, we would have be surrounded. We would have a lot of gods and earths around us that would also look out for us. That would lessons, take us to the parliaments, and help my mother because she had a lot of babies at the time.
Okay. So you say your mom had a
So
lot of
my
babies.
mother's one of the first original firstborn earths from the head of Medina. She's one of them.
She's one of them. Okay. Hold on one second. I gotta look at this right here.
Should be in that book, man.
It's in my book of life. I don't know about everybody else's. Hold
Her
on.
name is Agemeen. Agemeen.
Okay. Nah, I don't got the earths. I thought I had the earths, but I just got the gods from
You may
Medina.
not have the earths because they was being biased and not everybody actually put the right information. Because Carol, who was with firstborn Shasha, she the one that gave me a lot of the history too. About who was there and who she knew for the
Mm.
longest. And she said that was my mother, like when she was young, because my aunt and them had lived on the same block as her, so she knew her before she had the knowledge. How my mother met Shasha, Shamgar, Jakia, and all of them. Her and Jakia share the same birthday. She
Mhm.
was actually the leader of her Bed Star group part called Youth Leadership Institute, where they was actually doing civil rights activists and all of that in the
Mm.
community outreach workers. So she met Knowledge God in them, and a lot of them was actually some of the leaders and co-leaders of the Fort Green slash Clinton Hill. So they actually combined them together to work on a lot of their strengths, and that's how she met some of them and got the
Through a
knowledge when they
community,
started teaching her.
through a community outreach group
Yeah, they was doing community activist work, like civil rights and everything.
through the nation.
No, it wasn't a nation. It was called Youth Leadership Institute, but they
Okay.
actually was a part of it too.
Okay, so they was doing activism back in them days, the 5% Nation, through other groups.
Some.
Some, yeah, indeed. Of course, you got to be right and exact. Peace to the earth. Yo,
Hey,
she know
man.
what's going on. That's
Peace,
beef.
Wayman.
Nice. So
What's up,
now
Queen Tynetta? Peace.
Peace.
Queen Tynetta being right and exact right now. All right, now.
That's my cousin.
Yo.
My long distance cousin.
Yo. All right. So now your mom, your mom and your dad, how was that growing up in the house? You said they were strict. So what does that mean? Does it mean like, okay, you can't eat certain things, you can't do certain things? What does the strictness, what was the strictness like?
Oh, before we go outside and actually go outside to play when I was around, we had to at least know our lessons.
Mm,
Off tops. Because we got it. How I got it was actually listening from word to mouth, not just getting a set of 120 until
right.
after that, down the line.
Mm,
So my father had left my mother where they had split up in the year I think around 81. And I want to give a piece of shout out to my who I call my second pops, El Sincere, because he actually was in the house going over the lessons with us. He's from the
mm.
desert.
Peace to
He's
El
around
Sincere
to this
from
day. He
the,
had knowledge since around like 73 or 74, if I'm not mistaken.
peace to El
So he had a
Sincere
major
from the
impact
desert.
in my life.
That's peace. That's peace. So El Sincere from the desert, imparted the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, or the knowledge, right? However you want to put it. And so when it was word to mouth, how was it? It was like, all right, the math is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, like explaining it to you like that, and you had to quote it verbatim after. It's like core response. Was it like that?
Sometimes. Because they can ask you any question, you don't want to be caught off guard. Whatever they ask you, you have to know.
Okay, and what was the penalty? You just couldn't go outside.
That was it. You couldn't go outside till at least probably like an hour or 2 hours after.
Okay. And what were other things that were they strict about?
Oh, we did.
Of
I
course,
had to
food.
do my MGT and my GCC at a young age because I already had other brothers and sisters. My mom had a lot of children, so I already knew how to cook a little bit and also knew how to clean.
Mm,
So I also knew how to be respected when I was outside.
right. How to act at
And to
home and
respect the
abroad.
elders, how to act at home and abroad.
Abroad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right and exact.
Yeah. All right. Who's that? Queen IMC Asia Earth. Peace. Peace to the earth. Peace, earth. Peace to the earth. All right. So now strict. What about food? Food. Was it like a workout regimen? What was going on? Like what other parts of your life that was, strict? What was strict about it?
The food, we never eat no swan. We couldn't eat swan products. We had to read the ingredients. If we would say in or lard or animal fat, we know not to actually eat it.
Indeed. Indeed. So I mean, I know you heard a lot of bills I don't like to say older guards, but it is what it is.
I
Uh,
done built with a lot of older guards because I know a lot of older guards.
okay, all right. So what were the bills like when you would hear it as a child? Swift bills.
Yeah, they would actually tell people like peace when they see somebody with the universal flag. they would actually ask them their name, would say what's their attribute, how you see today's mathematics, and they would break it down such and such, and they also would actually tell them their name
Mhm.
and break down and manifest who they are, break down the degrees.
Right. It's just that's still going on right now. That's still going on right now. The
It is, but not as much as it was, because you had the guards basically on every street, every corner, wherever you went. You see the brothers with their universal flag, and they also
on the
had their name on it.
on the trains too.
Train, the bus, in the streets, parks, prison, wherever you were,
Mhm.
they were everywhere.
Everywhere. I remember that in the 90s. I
Definitely in the
remember
90s too.
I remember that in the 90s. Peace, 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 God. Peace to the peace, God. Daniel Edison. I don't know what's your righteous name though.
Peace.
Peace to you. So now the guards were everywhere, trains everywhere. Boom. So
So I
yeah,
mean, not just the guards, also the earths.
the earths. Okay.
Earths were their refinement, which was their culture at the time.
Universal peace, universal God Allah. Peace. So now let's so basically the guards would not necessarily press you, but make sure you are one of us, basically. Or not only that, just make sure you're on your square, you know what I'm saying? And that was great for me as a youngster too, to make sure I stay rooted in the foundation. It was sort of like a military. You couldn't go certain places without your degrees on cap. So me and the God Truth Divine, we would look over our lessons before we before we walked out of the house. That's how it was back in the 90s, man. That was a fun time too. So now yo, for real, it was fun. It was fun because it was like the militancy, you know what I'm saying? That the discipline was needed back then, you know what I mean? Especially coming up young. Where Tynetta, you left again. What happened?
Yeah, I lost connection, man. Peace, everybody. Sorry I'm late. My family was on the other podcast. Had to go
Yo,
take care of some
I
business.
know the God Magnetic dropped it.
But he
The
did.
God Magnetic.
Him and his queen, they did their thing, but they did their thing on there. It was very
Yo,
beautiful.
who else was on that podcast?
I believe the Eritrean sister.
You said what?
The Eritrean sister.
Oh, yeah. The God's wife. So Tynetta, what's going on? Where you at? We lost you. We lost Tynetta.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh, it's a wrap. Pardon y'all, technical difficulties. Okay, I think we're back. Tynetta. Hey, this stuff like this happens, y'all. It happens.
I believe the storm too. Storming out there, Wi-Fi and everything.
Indeed. So look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut it 30 minutes, and then we're gonna come back with Tynetta to finish this podcast, to finish the history. Pardon the technical difficulties. It is storming out here, NY. Lot going on. Pardon y'all. We will be back Monday. To build with y'all. A lot going on. We got Nakeem Bey back Monday, and then we have Monday night. We got Hakeem Bey at 7, 8 o'clock. We have Dr. Paul Dyer. Tuesday, you already know hip hop and news, and then we have what's the next one?
I'm working on something.
We have Abdullah. We have Abdullah coming at Wednesday that night. Go ahead. You have something?
Something I'm working on because some people been hitting me on Facebook, Mikey Fever NYP, and on text messages. I will do the show on Haiti, but I'm making sure I get a good panel to give you the history of Haiti, the condition that is in now, and whatever. And we're gonna bring back the Caribbean flavor again. Some people been asking me about that.
Yeah, what happened to the Caribbean show? Hey, let me let y'all know this too, y'all. This thing that we do here, this podcasting, is not easy at all. If you really knew what was going on,
I'm not gonna lie, Ron is it's not
if
easy.
you knew what was going on behind the scenes, Now I'm not trying to discourage nobody because we all gods in earths, but so we could, we don't have no limitations, However, you gotta trying to do this, you better be focused. Anyway, on that note, we are out of here. Thanks to everybody on the chat. Sorry for the short podcast technical difficulties. We'll make sure Tynetta comes back next week. We're back Monday, hot show. Yep. Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're gonna be back next week's, I think, what is it, Friday? No, Sunday. I think Sunday or Friday, whatever. We'll let y'all know on Monday. Oh, hold on. I acknowledge a lot of your podcast positive bills. Peace, God. Peace, universal. Peace, universal, God, Allah. We see all the hard work. You add value. Thank you, Suli. Thank you. Again, hit the comment, share, like, subscribe. Peace to everybody. Yep. Website coming out, NYP Talk Show, www.nyptalkshow.com coming out. And we'll see y'all next week. And
you know what? I'm gonna give him one thing before we out. You know what I'm saying? For those who's in the spiritual side, if you want to get more into your metaphysics and your spiritual, get this book right here, the Book of the Magi. You're dealing with doing the works of the three kings. If you're into that whole mystical side of things, you know what I'm saying? Your little candle work, and what else I can give you guys, That's it. For those of you sending me, Facebook messages, these are the things you do. All right, we out.
Hey, Mike, you know what? I like this. I like that you did. You know what? You got to be the book guy. You got to be the dude to show all the books.
No, of course, I definitely will. And for those who are into like Santeria and Ifa, my godmother put me onto this stuff. This is a book right here she gave me. I know you're gonna see a pale European, but if you know Allan Kardec work, a lot of this craft deals with our spirituality, is with our ancestors. So this is something right here. For those in New Orleans, you got the Hoodoo Bible, and a lot of things you can use. All right, that's pretty much it, girl.
Indeed. Thank y'all for coming out this evening. We really appreciate y'all. We will definitely have Tynetta back to complete this podcast. She has a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So she's got to come back on. Plus, Tynetta's my family. So anyway, peace to everybody out there, and we are out.
Peace.